there are just massive amount of million dollar, billion dollar organizations and funders who are trying to take down Mesa Valley Education Association. It's just true. There's no argument here. The question is why. This show is based off of a mailer that's been sent around to District 51 teachers and looking to opt them out of being members of their union. It looks like this. Colorado protects your job, not the master agreement. This is one of multiple flyers that have been sent out to our educators here locally. It is full of half truths and misinformation, and that really triggered us to say, okay, what's behind this? Who wants to stop workers from having rights? And typically, it's those that are bosses, those that are in charge of workers that do not want them to have more say in their workplace. This is typical propaganda saying that you're covered even if you don't pay your dues. Don't worry, your bosses are going to support you. Think of all the things that you could buy if you weren't supporting your union. It's very common practice. And so we noticed that, at least in regards to this mailer, that the output was from Olympia, Washington, with the Freedom Foundation. So, what is Olympia, Washington, and the Freedom Foundation doing in Mesa County, Colorado? Well, we investigated and looked to find out. So, I'm going to go ahead and share with you today the PowerPoint that was created to discuss just this. So, thank you all for joining in as we look through. Busted, investigating who is busting the West Slope's largest union. That union being the Mesa Valley Education Association, made up of District 51 counselors and teachers. In today's episode, our main characters are the Freedom Foundation, Association of American Educators, and PACE, Professional Association of Colorado Educators. Both of these associations are not recognized unions in any fashion. They are nonprofits, and you'll see that they are actually trying to undermine and remove educators' rights and representation. The puppeteer, the one that is running this show, is the Freedom Foundation. Freedom Foundation holds the most money and has the largest reach. Currently, they are spending thousands of dollars with these mailers that I showed earlier, targeting Mesa County to defund its largest union. The strings for this puppet show are brought to you by the Association of American Educators. Again, non-recognized, quote, teacher association, which looks to step into the void after teachers leave the union by direction from the Freedom Foundation, and provides what they refer to as liability insurance. There are questions around that insurance we'll go through. And finally, the puppet itself lies with PACE, which is the Colorado's representation for the Association of American Educators. Our first group that we're talking about today is the Freedom Foundation. Again, this is the large money group that is behind this current work in Mesa County. Here are their stated objectives. The Freedom Foundation is taking on government union bosses and defunding their unconstitutional agenda everywhere. Interestingly enough, we recently had some of the highest filings of labor law violations by anti-union organizations. So those, again, were government protections that are legal within the Constitution. So a bit of a twist there. Again, they try and use the term union bosses to really undermine and say, you know, this isn't your money, this isn't your democracy. And it is. And bosses are elected and decided by the membership, and they respond to the membership. And so if members don't like their bosses, they can remove them. But it shouldn't be under pressure from outside multi-million dollar organizations like the Freedom Foundation. It goes on to say, through education, litigation, legislation, and community activation. We have liberated public employees from political exploitation. You'll see this theme in all of our subjects today of we avoid politics. We need to focus more on our kids, and that's why we have to destroy unions and distrust them and break them down. Although all the time they are also working towards legislation and politics and supporting candidates that also support the destruction of these unions. And it's just fabrication. It's deflection. Last quote here is we passed landmark legislation that will cost government unions hundreds of millions of dollars. Again, full targeting of unions, including your neighbors. And we'll talk about who that might involve. We wanted to see where's this money coming from? Where's this money going? Again, simple mailers, but those are thousands of dollars. So why would they be investing here? And when you follow the money, you realize quickly it's all about politics. So in 2023, the revenue for Freedom Foundation was $17 million. Their CEO, Aaron Wright, earned $525,000. It was an over $80,000 increase for him 2022. So he's making some nice money there. Wanted to point out a notable figure as well. President Thomas McCabe, pulling in a very small salary of only $120,345. However, he was really the initiator of the Freedom Foundation. He came from the developer section or sector and had some questionable building practices. He also served in the Reagan administration, which we will actually get back to as there's a connection throughout with the former president. Its top funders, again, this is 2023 numbers pulling in 17 million. So some of its top funders include the Fidelity Investment at 3.2 million, Vanguard at 3 million. Again, those are going to be wealth management funds. They invest in stocks, and typically businesses do not like to negotiate with unions because they have to share more revenue with their workers. And so it would make sense, sadly, that an investment group would support companies holding on of more of their own wealth so they can go about purchasing back their own stock, etc. Lind and Harry Bradley Foundation, a million plus. They have been really at the ground floor with the Freedom Foundation. And you'll see they are also a player that continues to crop up throughout this journey. And finally, one of the most notorious groups when it comes to undermining workers' rights, the Charles Koch Foundation. I believe it was just the Koch brothers, and Charles is now on his own. And the Freedom Foundation is a member of the State Policy Network, which organizes these groups and state actions around passing things such as right to work, which is really just the right to employers to fire at-will employees. So with no real repercussion or ability to dispute. That's the Freedom Foundation. That's who is currently giving misinformation to our educators to try and remove them out of their union and hopefully, in their mind, defund the unions completely so that control is lost and the inability for educators really to be fully represented and have a voice. That brings us next to the strings and the puppets. So the Association of American Educators. Their stated objective is AAE provides the professional benefits you need, like liability insurance and job protection, without funding partisan politics or non-educational issues. We've already gone through the partisan politics that play into the Freedom Foundation. We'll go into the connections within these two. But already off the bat, when you look at AAE and their nonpartisan work, they have proposed things in legislature called the 3% for public schools proposal. Sounds great. I love public schools. Absolutely. They're a necessity for any community. This legislation looks to require unions to pay 3% back to their organization. So in this case, it would be a school district for having union fees deducted out of their member paycheck. So what this looks like is, let's say I have, $50 a month to my union. It just goes out of my paycheck, so I don't have to worry about, my card expiring or anything like that. What it's saying is that there has to be a fee, a 3% fee, for me to have that go to my union, and that goes back to my employer. So someone that I'm already working for, and I want to be a part of an organization, and I want my money to go towards that organization. AAE is looking to require union members to pay their employer to be part of the union. That is just, that's partisan because it's heavily funded by Republican members, and it's just that, or conservatives, it's just their belief. And that's a belief that they hold to their own. That's fine. But let's just be honest here that that is a real objective, and it's a partisan issue, and it doesn't really deal with education. They will hide under the banner of, oh, this will bring money back into public education. They say in their website it's going to increase $50 million. That is money out of teachers. They're taking their proposal is to take money away from teachers and just give it back to the school district. Educators already pay hundreds of dollars of their own money for supplies. Yes, we need public education more funded. Yes, there are millionaires and billionaires who are hiding from taxes so they don't have to invest in public education. We are not dying on the vine because of union dues. This is simply a way to defund the union. And so to say that they are not playing partisan politics just isn't true. And just be honest with it. Their biggest point here is following the formula of the Freedom Foundation has convinced you to drop the union, but you're still worried. You still want some protection. So come on into the AAE, or if you're in Colorado, be a part of PACE. And don't worry, we'll give you some union or what you would have under the union, some protections. But let's actually look at that for a second. So when I go to the About Us page on AAE, and we look at how does job protection coverage work? If you are threatened with a job action, termination, suspension, demotion, or involuntary transfer, which is a big deal in Colorado, and as teachers, contact PACE, the AAE office, to start working with our legal team. A claim will be filed to activate job protection benefits, which provide up to $1,500 to consult with an attorney of your choice, or AEE will help you find one. That means that AAE will not provide you a lawyer. They will pay for your lawyer for $1,500, which, let's say cheaply, a lawyer, $100 an hour. So you get 15 hours to talk to a lawyer. And it's not their own lawyer. Even though they say contact our legal team, they don't really have a legal team. Maybe one that protects itself, but not one that will protect its members. An additional 2,500 to work with an attorney if a hearing is requested. Like, so you get 25 hours, so you get almost a week's worth. No, week's worth. You get a week's worth of a lawyer. If you use legal services even one time, that provides $4,000 in attorney fees, and that's equivalent to more than 17 years of dues. Wow. If the hearing still ends in your determination, suspension, demotion, or involuntary transfer, and you decide to file suit and win or settle favorably. So again, if you get fired, you say this is wrong, they bring you in, you have an attorney that is super cheap, and like thankfully they are maybe helping you out. So they're like, oh, I'll slash my price for you. You get paid for a week of that lawyer, and then you lose. that sucks. But you're like, hey, you know what? I can really, you know, I think this termination was really, really wrong. Let's go ahead and keep going. If you lose that case, that money is on you. Additionally, you only get another 2 weeks of that lawyer that they'll cover. So even if you win and you get your job back, you will owe all legal fees that are left over from that work. So throughout the process, you work with our legal services department. Again, not a, it's kind of weasel words here, legal services department. So not really your law team, led by Sarah Nelson, AAE Senior Director of Legal Services, who has more than 2 decades of experience protecting employees. PACE AAE is contracted with attorneys in Colorado to support members' cases, although the policy does not limit to the network of attorneys. I would love to see if they have any Grand Junction attorneys out here. I'm not sure. I wasn't able to find the list of their attorneys. So let's go ahead and turn back because, again, this job protection, it's a myth. It's going to trap you in plenty of legal fees and with no real access to attorneys or solid representation. And that's the point. The point. So back to our presentation here. We left off with the string and the puppet. So let's talk about these strings. The Association of American Educators. Again, we want to follow the money, and it's all about politics. So in 2023, the revenue was $5,599,334. Now, they state on their website that they have 30,000 members. The confusing part for this is membership is like $20 a month for its lowest amount. And so if you have 30,000 members and you times that to calculate for a whole year's worth of revenue, that is $7.2 million dollars. And unless there was a big influx in the last year, then there's something going on. There's something missing here for $1.7 million dollars. So I'm not sure where that money is. This group was actually really difficult to try and investigate. There's even more dark money issues within trying to understand the Association of American Educators. Their CEO, Colin Sharkey, making $181,000. For him, he was formerly, his last position was with the Heritage Foundation. If you're aware of what the Heritage Foundation's main objectives are, it is all found in Project 2025, which was a packet put together by Republican elected officials and former staffers to put forward their agenda. Part of that agenda is the privatization of education or voucher programs, which heavily undermine educators, give less options for our teachers to, find good employment to represent their needs and wants, and is just really damaging. The top funders of the Association of American Educators include the Walton Family Foundation, Walmart, who gave, nope, sorry, that number is a bit mixed, but it's going to be over five, I think it was about half a million in 2019. And then the Lynd and Harry Butler Foundation. So let's go back for a second because Lynd and Harry Bradley, not Butler, Bradley Foundation should remind you of something. The Freedom Foundation. It shares their top funder with the Bradley Foundation. They have been instrumental in upholding the Association of American Educators. So the Freedom Foundation, again, this is the trickle down method of convincing you to drop your union, convincing you then to use the Association of American Educators to have that liability coverage, which we've already looked through, is not that thorough or helpful, and then can just privatize education. and really harm our students, our educators, and our families, and punch a massive hole in state budgets, which we've seen in Arizona. Here are the connections. The Freedom Foundation and the Association of American Educators, they're funders. So the Lindy, maybe, and Harry Bradley Foundation and the Koch Foundation. Their mission is shared, and that is ending union representation and collective bargaining. Their ideology, I forgot to mention that our CEO at the Association of American Educators, Colin Sharkley, was also a member of the Reagan administration, which is the board president of the Freedom Foundation. His roots are in the Reagan administration. Heritage Foundation, again, share similar, either worked for them or organizations also fund them, Project 2025. And then the State Policy Network, which is the Koch brothers' initial or current, lobbying arm and working towards, again, the ending of public sector unions, unions across the board, limiting workers' rights, and really putting a hammer on all working people here in Mesa County, in Colorado, and across the board. So what can you do? That's the biggest thing at Better Together is we always want to make sure that you're armed with the knowledge and ability to really do something about issues that you see. So first off, know your local unions. Our biggest union is the Mesa Valley Education Association. We also have These are all public sector. So we also have the Grand Junction Firefighters, which is local 2802, the Clifton Firefighters, local 5285, the Grand Junction Fraternal Order of Police, the Colorado Area Local 600, that's the postal workers, and Colorado Winds, that's our state workers union. All unions that are under threat from the Freedom Foundation with their mission of ending public sector unions. And after you get rid of those, private sector, do not cross the picket line. Always, always, always. If you see a picket line going, that means that there is issues with labor practices of that company. Do not cross it. Do not support the company. Support the workers. Support your neighbors. Support actions such as union drives, strikes, messaging. If you can share this video out, please do, as a way just to get everyone more aware of what's happening and why outside influences are targeting the Mesa Valley Education Association. And vote. Vote in every election you can. City council, county, positions, school boards, water districts. Always be voting, always being aware of how much you can get involved in the democratic process because that's what unions are. It's a democratic process. And especially if you have the ability to join a union, do so and get active with it. Democracy only works when people work within it. And that's what matters. For those that are curious, here's the sources. I really appreciated working through Cause IQ. It was great. It gave a lot of these statistics with trying to find and track down these numbers. ProPublica, another excellent source. They've done a lot of work in exposing big money behind these movements. The Freedom Foundation, of course, just looking through their stuff. Same with AAE, Influence Watch, Persigen, and Source Watch. Again, all great sources there to try and help you kind of pick apart because there's a lot of legislation and work around hiding money and hiding money from unpopular work, such as the ending of unions. So I'll turn back, I'll stop sharing here because I really just want to share with you all just how important all of this is. Oh, we couldn't really see the mailer. All right. Well, again, got the green screen behind me. So let me try and show this. And within the mailer, too, it talks about the master agreement and teacher compensation. and that Colorado will protect you. Colorado will not protect you. Colorado is a at-will state, and there are major issues within it. And so if you are fired, let's say you don't have a collective bargaining unit and your boss wakes up, they have a headache, and you know what? They think that you caused that headache. You're fired. That's it. You have nothing to support you or back you up. And that's a major, major issue. So when you have a union, when you have more collective rights, you can actually adjudicate that and say, I have representation, I have a contract, you're not withholding to that contract, and I have representation to counter you. That's a union. That's the ability to have at least some say in your life and your job. That does not mean that you can't be fired. Of course you can. There's people that violate, plenty of the contract on the worker's side, and they should be removed. That's within the prerogative, and honestly, unions need to be aware of that, and they have to do at least their duty of initially making sure the contract was followed, but that's as far as they go. It's not about protecting bad or, inappropriate workers. So, in conclusion for today, there are just massive amount of $1 million, $1 billion organizations and funders who are trying to take down Mesa Valley Education Association. It's just true. There's no argument here. The question is why, and our answer here is because it's the largest union. It has the most representation of any union in Mesa County. If you take out the biggest one, then the others are easier to target. Those that can be target are the firefighters union, the police union, the Colorado Workers Union, the Postal Workers Union. All of them are lined up and targets of groups like the Freedom Foundation. So working to make sure that we support our unions and our workers is key. So I want to thank you all for tuning in today. Make sure if you are part of a union that you are working hard to get connected with it and working hard to make sure that you are well represented, and those that you think should be in charge of your union. The beauty of democracy is you vote for that. So thank you all for tuning in today for Better Together. This warning is for all of us, but know there's always a way to stay active and engaged. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Special thank you to our Patreon members. We are 100% community funded, and your support goes a long way. You can become a member at patreon.com/bettertogether. And we have several options and perks, so check it out.